Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe, with lessons, in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.
not sure where that is, but we need to be in our own chambers, really. And very, very exciting for me, I found out that one of you on the board really misses it there. So I'm just trying to figure out how to get that on the agenda and for further discussion. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Next speaker, Tony Farley.
This thing works. Thank you, Carl. Thank you, Carl Bain, for your new chair job. I like it. It's very good. I hope you keep up the good work. I tracked her. Here, thank Sarah. Sarah be here today for the Department of the Behavioral Health and Department of Health Services in California. Here, thank our sheriff for wearing his uniform. Thank Shawitz for wearing his uniform. Thanks Zachary for wearing his slick jacket, man. So here, thank everybody. Here, thank Deborah and all 9 yards. Hope we'll be okay. So stay safe during the rain. It's flooding in Sacramento. Zach went to Sacramento, mutually Sacramento County with the flood. Zach went there. Thanks, Zachary, for mutually in Sacramento County, the big city. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. All right, that's last of our speaker cards. At this time, we have a presentation, an appreciation for law enforcement. If I could get all ranks of law enforcement to please join us up front. Can you hear me? Yeah. All right, we'll start again. The Sutter County Board of Supervisors wishes to acknowledge the law enforcement officers of every rank and file who have chosen a profession to put their lives on the line every day for their community. Like other organizations across the nation who observe National Law Enforcement Appreciation Day on January 9th of each year, the Board of Supervisors recognizes that law enforcement officers, whether local, state, or federal, have answered a call to public service that is demanding and often unappreciated. The jobs are often thankless and take them away from their families for long hours. Rarely do they know what their days have in store for them. On behalf of the residents of Sutter County, the Board of Supervisors extend its deepest appreciation to law enforcement officers in Sutter County, across California, and across the United States. Thank you. Would either of you like to say that?
Okay, well, first of all, I want to say for Sheriff Barnes, he is not here today. He's in CSSA representing us, which is good because it takes Sutter County out there where everybody sees this. But we appreciate this for the board. The board is a huge supporter of public safety, and the reason why you don't see other staff here is because they're out there protecting our community. We have a collaboration with probation, the DA's office, and our sheriff's department that we all work together. And just like I mentioned earlier today in a meeting, it's a family environment. Even when we opened EOC and we had, HSA, building, roads, it all takes all of us to make our community safe, and that's what's phenomenal about our community, because that's what we work for. And we all work together. I'm going to give a shout out to even our fire department. I know it's an appreciation, but with our dispatch short staff and us having to deal with that, we had firefighters in there and dispatch helping us out. So community effort, we appreciate this, and like I said, go Sutter County.
Thank you. All right, the consent calendar groups together those items which are considered non-controversial, on for which prior policy direction has been given to staff that require only routine action by the board. The chair will advise the audience that the matters may be adopted in total by one motion. However, the board may, on its option or upon request of a member of the public, consider any matter separately.
Through
Move
the
to
chair.
approve 1 through 6.
I'd like to pull item number 1. And with that being said, I know Supervisor Conant put out a motion right there, but have some changes. One of the changes was to, from my notes here besides, I'd like to move myself from an alternate.
So, excuse me, we've got you're removing item 1.
Yeah.
I'm amend it to
Okay.
2 through 6.
Okay.
Okay, I'll second the motion 2 through 6 for approval, pulling item number 1 for discussion.
So it's moved by Supervisor Ziegelmeyer, seconded by
Conant move.
Conant.
Moved by Supervisor Conant, second by Supervisor Flores.
Or,
There you go.
we'll get it.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Does this need to be a roll call vote, or? Sorry, so roll call, please.
Aye.
Supervisor Flores,
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer,
Aye.
Supervisor Baines,
Aye.
Supervisor Conant,
Aye.
Okay. Now we'll go back to item number 1.
All right. Through the chair.
Yes. Supervisor Ziegelmeyer.
Like to see about moving Dan Flores here to the GSAC committee and flipping myself with Supervisor McKelly. I've been on it for 4 years, and I think it's a great move for Supervisor McKelly to move in there to Sabufka. And like to move myself as an alternate to the RCRC committee, which I believe one of you all is on.
That's me.
That's you?
Yeah.
So, was that pretty straightforward enough there? Okay.
Does that put the Supervisor Conant back on RC, and those other 2 committees?
if that is what Supervisor Conant would like.
Yeah, that's what he likes.
All right, and then one thing, Supervisor McKelly, if next committee, if there's Frau Lifa still, like I said, that meeting rolls into the next, I'm fine with still being on that committee. Like I said, if down the road, if you decide, just give me a holler. Or
So there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, I'll put a motion out there.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. To a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly,
Aye.
Supervisor Flores,
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer,
Aye.
Supervisor Baines,
Aye.
Supervisor Conant,
Aye.
All right, now we'd like to open up the public hearing. The public hearing is to consider adoption of a resolution to vacate all portions of the cul-de-sac, public right-of-way, and public utility easement lying north of a 42-foot northerly offset from the center line of Stewart Road. Bryce?
Good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors. I'm Bryce Diebel, Public Works Engineer 1. Before you this afternoon is a cul-de-sac public right-of-way and public utility easement abandonment, which is located on Stewart Road or near Riverbend Elementary School. This was accepted by the county with the recordation of parcel map number 1058 on March 25, 2005. This map depicts a cul-de-sac with a 40-foot public right-of-way and 10-foot public utility easement lying north of a 42-foot northerly offset from the center line of Stewart Road. The parcel map was accepted by the county with the conditions to further subdivide the remainder of the parcel, which would insist on constructing the cul-de-sac improvements such as utilities, sidewalks, street lighting, and other aspects. The applicant for this abandonment is the owner of the parcels, and they no longer have a desire to subdivide the parcels or construct the improvements. So as it sits today, it's just an open bare field, which is shown in Exhibit C. The recommendation is to abandon all that portion of the cul-de-sac public right-of-way and public utility easement, as there is not going to be any further development. So looking at Exhibit B's Detail A, the county would be retaining some of the public utility easement over the area of the cul-de-sac, and this would create a consistent 10-foot public utility easement along Stewart Road. So we noticed the public by placing advertisements for this public hearing on telephone poles along Stewart Road near the cul-de-sac public right-of-way and public utility easements per the Streets and Highways Code of the state. And we also posted notices in the Appeal Democrat. Are there any comments or questions?
I'd like to open the public hearing. There seems to be no speaker cards. Anybody from the public like to address the issue at hand? Any questions? All right, close the public hearing. Bring it back to the board for discussion.
I move to move with the recommended action of the board of the staff.
Second.
Sigemeyer, second by Supervisor Connett. We get a roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next we have an appearance item from our clerk recorder, Donna Johnson.
Receive an update regarding the use of electronic vital records in the clerk recorder's office.
Mike.
Good afternoon, Honorable Board of Supervisors. I wanted to give you a little update on electronic vital records. It's something that we're offering now at the Clerk Recorder's Office. So effective January 1st, 2023, legislation passed which allowed recorders to supply an applicant who wanted either a birth, death, or marriage record an electronic certificate via blockchain technology. It's a decentralized system, meaning that it's not owned by any individual, and each piece of the record is basically assembled sort of like a jigsaw puzzle to create the authentic record that is something that is specialized and stored via the blockchain to be able to authenticate records that are placed on it. So back in 2018, I had the honor of being the president of the California Recorders Association, and it's one thing that I've always been looking for better ways to deliver services to people. And one of the ways was using blockchain technology. At the time, it wasn't really something that the legislature was comfortable with, so they created a blockchain technology working group for all kinds of blockchain ideas. Third time was a charm. We finally got it approved in this last legislative cycle, although the governor did not allow some other blockchain technologies to be in place. He did allow recorders to start offering this service. We modeled it after the state of Nevada. The state of Nevada was doing marriage licenses that way because a lot of folks run up to Reno to get married or to Las Vegas to get married. So it was a perfect avenue for them to start doing it for marriage certificates only. However, when we were crafting the legislation, I thought, why don't we see if we can open it up to birth and death records? It's the same type of certificate that's normally you get on our banknote paper when you come in. So I thought, why don't we just see if we can expand this and make it more than just birth certificates. But it did pave the way when it was approved to allow that to happen in the United States for the first time. So what can you do with blockchain? Again, it's something that it's proof that a record did exist at one point in time, and it's something that can guarantee a person's identity while also protecting it at the same time, which is pretty cool when you think about it. So how it works is if somebody wanted to order a certificate, they would order it the exact same way and pay for it the exact same way they do now, either across the counter or online. We take that certificate, and instead of printing it on banknote paper, we will create it into a PDF and we'll drag it into this blockchain application. When it does that, it's going to affix the seal. At that point in time, it is locked and sealed, and it will look just like you see up on the screen here with a digital identity that is then locked forever. The receipt's stored on a blockchain, so we know that where it is, where it lives, and how to access it. And this is an example of a record. It was a record back in 1917. It was unfortunately a death certificate from a little baby whose last name was Sutter. So this was a sample of a document that can be authenticated at any point in time. So if it was a 2-page document, say maybe it was an adoption or whatnot, there'd be 3 pages total. But the first page would always have that authentication that's used to verify that that record that we've produced is indeed accurate. If that record's changed in any way, like with an Adobe PDF or something like that, someone goes through and tries to change anything on the document, the hashtag that's associated with it will change, and the record can no longer be authenticated. So what happens after you purchase one of those? We will email that record to you. We recommend that you save it on a USB or secure cloud service, storage service that you have. But that means that you can just forward that on to anybody else that is requesting that document. The customer only needs to buy it once, and then you don't have to worry about if you've lost it. We get that all the time. People say, I don't know where I put the darn thing. I moved since then. I stuck it in a box, whatever that might be. As long as you save that electronic certificate, you never have to buy it again. You can only buy it. You only need to buy it once. It's not meant to be papered out, because at that point it loses the authenticity and the way to verify it. So so you send it off to somebody. We just got the okay from Sutter County Superintendent of Schools, as well as Yuba City Unified, to start accepting those for children when they're going to school. They would take that document and they would just use that verification process, and they would see something like this when they took that PDF and drug it into the application to make sure that it's just something that's on the internet. They don't have to buy anything to go ahead and verify that that document is indeed that document, has not been altered. If you want to know a little bit more about that, we've got that, something up on our website about electronic vital records, and we talk a little bit about the traditional paper record and so forth, and then how to go ahead and order your own electronic vital record. Who accepts them? So I just mentioned that we had a few entities that are accepting them. I'm reaching out to other local entities to see if they'll accept them. If you wanted to go out on a cruise, and we get these calls all the time from somebody who's stuck and they didn't have their passport with them, they need to verify that they were an American citizen, then they would go ahead and call us and say, oh my gosh, can you fax me one right away? And so we try to accommodate those, but then that only works for that one point in time, for that one purpose. So there's a lot of different entities that are accepting these. Hopefully we'll get DMV to do it in the future. It's something brand new. Nevada actually had to pass legislation to have their DMVs accept them in the state of Nevada, but that's another day and another legislative cycle to work on that. But there are a lot of agencies that will accept these now. Again, the benefits of it: access. Anybody can get these documents within minutes across the world. So if you've got somebody that's in the overseas, that are stationed overseas, they were born here in Sutter County, they need their record, they can get that delivered to them within minutes. We've done all different types so far, and we've done those within about a half an hour of the request. They're securely transmitted, securely, it's certain. You can make sure that that person is, the identity is exactly of that person that the certificate was for. It saves us on cost, because we have to purchase the banknote paper, and the digital certificates are the same cost as the banknote paper right now, but it saves us on postage, and it saves us on time to retrieve the record, print the record, and so forth. And it gives our customers a great level of efficiency that they didn't used to have. So I mentioned that that was the first in California. I tried really hard, very, very hard, to make sure that Sutter County was a first. So Sutter County was the first in California to issue an electronic marriage certificate, and the first in the nation to do electronic birth and death records. And the reason being is that other states, such as Nevada, the recorder is not the holder of birth and death records. They're only the holder of marriage records. We didn't know that when we went into this legislative cycle. I worked with Senator Hertzberg out of LA to get this bill introduced and passed. We didn't know that at the time. We found out later on. Actually, just this past December, we found out that we were the first in the nation to be able to offer this. So we've got ourselves on the map as being the first for doing that. And that concludes my presentation.
Through the chair. Hey, Donna, what about, is there any talk for the airlines accepting this? I mean, kids, I had a 17-month-old that looks like she's 4. And when we went through, like, we need to see the birth certificate. I didn't bring it. I was told I didn't have to. She's not getting on this plane list. So I had to call my pediatrician at 6 in the morning. And Dr. Mita answered, because he's the best. and hook me up. But what I'm getting at is it in the works? I'm assuming if the DMV is not accepting it yet, the airlines aren't going to accept it yet.
Well, there are some local DMV offices in California that do accept them. It's kind of a hit and miss right now. But again, we're talking, those were marriage records. We just issued the first ones in January for birth and death, so it's new. To get Yuba City Unified and Sutter County schools to accept them was our first step. I've reached out to Little Leagues. Every single year we get somebody who's coming in and says, I had to give it to my kid for All-Stars last year. I'd like to have to buy another one because I didn't get it back. So it's those types of things that we're trying to do. But we're definitely working on expanding those and trying to get every entity that we can to accept them. It's the future.
Through the chair.
Yes, Supervisor Conant.
So, Donna, thank you. That's great work. I just have a couple questions. First of all, are all the counties in the state doing it now, or are you still one of the only ones yet?
I was the first one. The Modoc County is doing it, is starting to do it. They're not live just yet. Riverside's looking at it. A number of larger counties are just kind of, they're letting us take the lead. Let's put it that way.
Oh, okay. Slowly but surely.
Yeah.
Okay. And then congratulations. I think it's incredible the work that the public can get this record so quickly. And so it's pretty much any record that a person wants to register through you can do, right? I mean, not just death, marriage licenses and death certificates.
Well, we do certified copies of a number of different items. This is just the first one that required us to have legislation to allow us to make sure that that was a certified document that we could deliver in that method.
Will deeds be on that soon, or maybe never?
We're working on getting deeds onto that in this next legislative cycle.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions from the board? Thank you, Donna. Thank you for the presentation.
Thank you.
All right, item 9, Chief Shawlitz.
Introduction of an ordinance amending the Sutter County Ordinance Code by amending Chapters 600 and 610 relating to the Fire Prevention Code. Waive the full reading, direct the clerk to read the title only, and continue the item to the January 24th, 2023 board meeting for adoption.
Got it there. Honorable Chair, members of the board, the item in front of you today is I come in front of you every 3 years to get the California State Fire Codes put into play. California Health and Safety Code 17960 requires that the building department and fire departments of every city and county enforce the provisions of the building standards law as published in the California Code of Regulations, Title 24 by the California Building Standards. So every 3 years, like I said, we come in front of you and ask you to approve the International Code Council reviews the newest model fire codes, and we ask that you adopt those. On July 1st, 2022, the International Code Council published the 2022 California Fire Codes. The published codes become effective 180 days after the publication. Therefore, the 2022 codes did go into play as of January 1st this year. So asking for the adoption of that with the changes that come with the code. There is no fiscal impact, but it's very important to talk about the fact that it does affect citizens because there is changing in construction standards. It could be an impact to them, but we are required to do that and adopt those, but there is no fiscal impact to the general fund. And I'm here for any questions if you guys would have any.
There's no speaker cards. Anybody from the public have any questions? Take it back to the board.
Move to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
If I could please ask the clerk to read the title of the ordinance, please.
An ordinance of the County of Sutter amending the Sutter County Ordinance Code by amending Chapters 600 and 610 relating to fire prevention and regulation and overhead storage of flammable liquids.
Thank you. Item 10, Neil Hay.
Authorization to install a gate restricting vehicle access to the eastern end of Paseo Avenue at the Feather River Levee.
Good afternoon, Chair Baines and Supervisors. So this matter is regarding Paseo Road up east of the town or city of Live Oak. So the exhibit in front of you shows the east end of Paseo Road at the Feather River levee at the west end of the Feather River. Previously in July of 22, your board authorized a reduction in the width of the county's right-of-way from 100 feet down to 60 feet. And so that's what's shown essentially with the blue lines. And now the county has been approached with a request to install essentially a gate along the east side of the canal that would restrict vehicle access. The Levy District 1, Levy District 9, they have signs in compliance with the California Vehicle Code to limit vehicle access onto the levee. As we all know, this is the new Feather River levee. It's been constructed to provide the flood control for portions of Sutter County. And so we've come before your board looking for the permission to install the gate that would limit vehicle access. The county would still provide essentially pedestrian access by adding a gravel area, most likely on the north side of the paved roadway. We'd add a gravel area for about 2 vehicles to park. And that would allow pedestrian access to go up to the river for fishing or walking along the levee. And I saw that Drew Stresser from the general manager, Levy District 1, Levy District 9 is here, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you'd have.
All right, so I have a number of speaker cards, so we'll start with Andrew Stresser. Speaker card for item number 10. Can you please turn the mic on?
Thank you, Chairman, board members. My name is Andrew Stresser. I represent Levy District 1 and Levy District 9. Specifically, Levy District 9 in this case. We are the local maintaining agency, or LMA, designated in this particular area to operate and maintain 6.25 miles of levee, and this is where this gate is proposed. I'm sure you're all aware of the roughly $400 million that have been spent to rehabilitate the Feather River West levee from the Thermalito After Bay to the 99 Bridge, led by the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency, or SBUFCA. Since the completion of construction, there's been a steady increase of unauthorized vehicles accessing the levee, either by driving up the side, driving around gates, or in this particular vicinity, there's open access to access the levee. As described in the staff report, Vehicle Code 21116 states no person shall drive any motor vehicle upon a roadway located on a levee. There's other information provided there, but that's the gist of it. Sutter County has a similar ordinance, 1140, in place for the same type of violation, which includes the first violation being punishable by a $100 fine, the second within a year a $200 fine, and the third within a year $1,000 and 6 months in jail. Unfortunately, individuals don't get cited as much as we'd like. The district is responsible to adequately maintain the integrity of the levee for flood protection in perpetuity. Forever. As long as we have flooding in this vicinity, we'll have to maintain those levees to ensure public safety. During wet winter, as we're experiencing this year, it's vital that the levee district performs levee patrols to identify areas of deterioration so that we can remediate anything prior to a breach. Access on top of this levee is essential. It's need to be maintained to ensure proper equipment and resources can be utilized when and where they are needed. We hope that you understand the necessity for this gate and approve this in order to improve public safety. Is there any questions from the board?
Well, thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Next speaker card, we have Dale Whitmore.
Hello, thank you very much for this moment. I'm opposed to this gate. It makes it sound like the public is running around destroying the levee. I don't agree with that. This provides some access to the Yuba River for people, again, to fish and have other activities, and a little bit of correct use, which is what most people are doing. I don't see why we have to put in a gate here. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Frank Coates.
Well, to start off, the most important thing about this picture, Neil didn't mention.
Last summer, you gave away public access to the river directly east you gave away the section of Paseo Avenue from the levee to the river. You simply gave it away. Before that, the people had a right to walk directly to the river. We didn't worry about going up and down the levee road. But now you've painted yourself in the corner because there's no access there now. The only legal public access in that vicinity is now to go down the publicly owned levee right-of-way on the Levee Crown roadway to the Sutter Extension Water District, a public agency's land, and take access to the river from that point, which is a Rube Goldberg solution, but it's a solution that works. Now, two, yeah, it's a wonderful levee, and they do a good job maintaining it, but the people of this state have a right to be on that river and the banks of that river for recreation. And allowing people to cross the levee using the ramps and using the roads designed for it, you know, that's a cost to doing business. When you decide to build a levee blocking access to the river generally, then letting the public use the ramps and the roads to get to the river is simply a cost of doing business. And the other thing is, legally, under the public trust doctrine, you should refrain, you're required to refrain from interfering with public access to the river whenever feasible, so far as feasible. Now, that's the question. Is it feasible to not put a locking gate there? Is it feasible to allow people to drive instead of forcing them to walk 0.2 of a mile down to the Sutter Extension? Is that feasible? Is it going to break Levee District 9 if they have to maintain that Levee Crown Road a little bit more so that people who like to bring a kayak or a light boat to put on the river, so they're not going to walk 0.2 of a mile down and 0.2 of a mile back carrying the boat? Or if they're elderly, or if they have mobility problems, or they're taking children fishing, is it not feasible to keep that road drivable? They've got a constitutional right to be on the river and a constitutional right to be on Sutter Extension Water District land to fish. They're not asking for those. They've got them. Thank you.
Thank you. Al Canley.
Hello, my name is Al Canaley. About a year or so ago, I purchased the property south of the road, which extends from the left side there to past what's shown in the map into the river bottoms. And what I soon realized was that there was a growing homeless encampment down in the river bottom area between the levee and the river that was creating a large amount of trash. It was a hazard environmentally because people were using the restroom down there. And we had people constantly coming and going. Over the winter, we'd see people who would just drive up over the levee directly and drive down it and get stuck, things like that. So they were damaging the levee. I'm not questioning the public's right to use the river, nor the public's right to use the levee. I support both of those things. If you want to walk your dog on the levee or ride your bike up there, I'm all for that. And river is great to use. But the trouble I have is with public access through my property. So what we're trying to do by adding the gate is just restrict vehicle travel on the levee that's already prohibited by state and county code. So once people get up there, the levee's not that wide at the top. There's really nowhere that they can turn around without driving directly onto my property and turning around. So, you know, I don't want anybody to get stuck. I don't want to have any problems with that. But in the summertime, there's just a steady flow of people driving over there and parking and partying, shooting, throwing trash. And it's private property. If the county or the state wants to come in and make it a park and eminent domain it, that's their choice to do it. But until then, I'm paying taxes on it, and I have the right to exclusively use it. And it's being hampered by that because as you drive north and south of Paseo, you'll see that pretty much every road heading to the river has a gate at the end, and people aren't able to drive over, so it sort of naturally funnels people to this area. And we just get a lot of people. And so I was just hoping that with this gate, we can still allow people public access to the levee, but they won't be crossing private property going to the river with their vehicle. Okay, that was all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keneally. Next speaker card is Eric Hess.
Hi, my name is Eric Hess, and I'm one of the recreational users of it. I ride my bike on that particular section of the levee on a regular basis. We also access the river to go canoeing between that area and Yuba City on the Feather River. So any additional closures to that area are going to hamper my efforts. The cycling thing doesn't really come into play, but river access below the rock dam there at the pump house is essential to that trip. You can't really put in at the Live Oak boat dock and pass the rock dam without portaging around it. So the access right at the pump house is essential to running that section of river. So I would just hope that you reconsider installing that gate just for recreational purposes alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker card is Lynn Phillips.
Thank you. I'm Lynn Phillips, representing Sutter Extension Water District. I'm just here to attest and reaffirm the amount of traffic that does come through here. Like other speakers have said, most all of the other entrances to the levees have been blocked off, so it does funnel people right to the Paseo Road. They come in there, it seems like any time of the day, any time of the night. We have a residence and a pump station, millions of dollars worth of infrastructure there. We've had theft. I've had my employees threatened there multiple times. So I'm just here to support the installation of the gate. Thank you.
Thank you. The last speaker card is Elaine Miles.
I'm Elaine Miles, and I'm old. But I lived in Live Oak, and I raised my kids in Live Oak. We went there, and we were able to get there. But why are we closing everything down? That's wrong. I mean, we could drive our vehicles, and we could drive the people out. And we could go down there and shooting, and we could shoot. But a lot of things have changed, and I think it's wrong. I'm finished.
Thank you for your comments. Take it back to Neil if there's some of those that you want to address. Or
So certainly I think from the county standpoint, we're trying to find a compromise that allows citizens and residents to access the river by providing an area for parking so that they're able to walk. It provides at least for walking. Realizing that, essentially the rock boulders on the Feather River can create a navigational challenge, but there is the Live Oak boat launch if you want to see the northern stretch of the Feather River, and then otherwise there's the Yuba City boat launch, which I realize it's a ways up, but it does provide access to the river for those type of activities. Otherwise, the county supports the actions of Sabufka and everything that has happened along the Feather River and the levees. And like they said, there's other county roadways that terminate at the Feather River. Previously, have had gates put on there. I don't believe they've maybe been actions that have come before your Board of Supervisors. I think one of the other things that from the county we can say is that while I can appreciate in maybe previous generations and such, people were able to access the river, and I'll just say they probably behaved in a certain manner. And I think, unfortunately, the county, from just the infrastructure that we are responsible for maintaining, find that there are a lot of other, challenges with the way that road users and citizens and non-citizens of our county are utilizing maybe public areas. And so, consequently, we're trying to, designate and maybe restrict access with vehicles, but still allow pedestrian access. and I'd be happy to answer any other questions. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board?
Through the chair. You know, Neil, you left out Featherford Parkway. You know, for those of you in the audience, you know, this is, matter of fact, we got Mike Johnson who applied for that. We applied as a county and we got denied in 2022, but we're going to reapply. And it's a project 20 years in the making with the city of Yuba City. It could be outstanding. Hopefully we'll get it this year. But we got 4 boat ramps. There's a lot of access here. The biggest thing is, I know you guys are shaking your heads in the audience there, but one beaver. Look at how much damage one beaver does to the levee. One beaver. I get an email, 1 in the morning on our break, we talking about, hey, we got a beaver making an issue with the levee system. These guys are on it. Go down there and check out the situation. And then you got all the homeless going in there and digging in and so forth. And I was on Sabufka for 4 years. So, and I haven't seen, if you've all been to those meetings, you all hear about this time and time about the damage that is done to the levees. There's no money to take care of these levees. We run lean as it is right now. And it's, no one's saying that we're trying to deny access to the levees. There's a lot of access to the levees, just access at this point, at this juncture of the levee. That's what we're looking at doing. And we're not stopping the walking access.
Through the chair. Through the chair. Oh, Neil, can you just tell me how many cars will be able to park in the designated parking area?
A larger number of vehicles if needed, but we were going to aim for 2.
2. Okay. Thank you. Through the chair.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, you know, this is probably something that we should have done sooner than this. You know, I know putting a gate there, you know, will certainly help with some of the activity of the homeless. And, you know, this is right down the road for me. And I know how difficult it is, you know, dealing with the homeless problem along the river and in the river bottoms. And again, I think it's important to note that we're not restricting access, just access by vehicles, which, I mean, is a very short walk there and has become quite a nuisance to Sutter Extension and the levee districts, and probably, again, something that we should have done quite a while ago. But the landowners brought it to our attention, and thank you for doing that. And again, the Live Oak Boat Dock access is very short trip down the road, maybe just over a mile. So, and if you wanted to put in below the diversion dam, obviously there's access in Yuba City. So that's something that we probably should have done a while ago, installing this gate, and I'll be voting to approve.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, so I get what the public's saying they want to access. We are going to have a walking gate. I don't like to restrict access either, but it becomes problematic. For example, last Sunday, my wife and I had to chase a bunch of people raising racers up and down the levees on the Bear River, tearing them up. And we have a very tight budget. Those levees haven't even been improved. And tomorrow, we're expected to have high water on the Bear River with racers tearing up the levee. So I see both sides of the coin, and I'm thinking long and hard about this, but I think we're going to have to support this. Thank you.
There's no further questions. Looking for a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a friendly amendment that we approve with enough parking for 4 cars instead of just 2.
Through the chair.
Yes.
But will that mean we have to purchase property there, Neil, or is there enough room to do that?
No, so there is certainly enough room within the county's right-of-way on the northern side of the roadway. We're just going to add a gravel, probably about 6 inches of gravel, so that it's kind of an all-weather surface.
Okay. I'll accept the friendly amendment.
Right, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. Item 11, David Tom.
Authorization for the Director of Development Services to sign the project report and CEQA notice of exemption for State Route 99 and Oswald Road intersection improvement project with the traffic signal as the preferred alternative.
Good afternoon, Honorable Chairman and board members. I've come before you for the last 4 years regarding the safety improvements on this Oswald Highway 99 intersection. And I'm happy to bring the project report, all 540 pages before you, at least in its draft form. Caltrans is actually still reviewing a few of the documents that will be inserted into this, but we're asking you to allow Neil to sign the project report and also the environmental document that goes with it, basically stating that the intersection improvements that are the preferred alternative are just the signalization of the intersection. So we just recently got a updated exhibit for you for that intersection from GHD, the consultant, and you should have that in front of you. It basically, and for the public, I'll detail the changes to that intersection that this project will encompass. So it's going to signalize the intersection. It's going to also remove the asphalt in the intersection and replace it with concrete so that there's more durability for turning movements in that intersection. It will add a southbound right turn lane for the intersection, and actually extend those turn lanes, turn pockets, so that there's a longer distance to slow down. It's going to also add a left and through lane on Oswald, actually add a turn lane on Oswald Road heading on the east side of the intersection heading west. So there will be a few improvements to Oswald Road as well. It qualifies for a categorical exemption because we're not adding any more travel lanes to the intersection. Turn lanes do not disqualify you from a categorical exemption from CEQA. So the project and the project development team did look at a variety of alternatives. As you are very well aware, we looked at a roundabout at the intersection. Actually drew it out on the Kmart parking lot for you to come look, and had an we brought trucks there so you could see how it would look. We also took a look at a overpass for that intersection interchange. That was cost prohibitive to do that. And then we also took a look at a few other alternatives for maybe changing some of the way truckers could get to that intersection from Chevron Station. But the project development team ultimately landed on this in order to keep the project on schedule and scope as well. So the only improvements, as I said before, are what I just mentioned, and that is to add signals and then a few turn lanes and increasing the safety of the project. So at this point, are there any questions for me?
So we've got, we have some we have speaker cards. So we will first take Charles Ernst.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Councilman. My concern is on paragraph number 3. It talks about current and planned developments, like there's going to be more development in the area. We have 9 truck yards. We don't need another one. So that's my concern. I don't know what planned developments mean. So I'm very much in favor of the signal. I appreciate all the hard work that's gone into it. I just don't want any more development as far as a truck yard in the area. And it does say that in paragraph number 3, so that's my concern there. We were able to meet with Mr. Tom earlier, and he expressed that the only thing they're working on is a signal at this time and no other. My other concern was a cul-de-sac to the rear of our property, and that's not part of this program, so I'm glad. But again, I'm concerned about planned developments and what that might look like. So is there any way anyone can answer that?
Chairman,
this is just.
I don't know if you want me to respond just briefly.
Go ahead. We're not. Well, it's the item that we were.
Yeah, as an agendized item, we can enter into discussion.
That's fine.
Okay. When the initial background parts of the report were initially written back in 2018, when we were still looking at like Sanga trucking and other developments occurring along that roadway. So it was in regards to some of those trucking operations that had yet to come online, at least in full.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next speaker card is from Connie Ernst.
Good afternoon, Connie Ernst, District 5, resident on Orchard off of Oswald Road. Just want to say thank you guys for all the hard work that you put in. I know it's been a long road to get this light on the books, and we're excited that that intersection will be a safer place for the residents of Sutter County. I do have another question regarding payment. It would be our hope that any future developments or even this one, that the people who are benefiting from the increased infrastructure are also helping pay for it. I know that the total cost to this county will be $2.7 million, and that's largely to benefit 9 truck yard owners, because before they were allowed to be there, there was no need for the light. So just that the county would keep in mind on further projects, other places in the county, that those who are benefiting from the infrastructure or causing the need for the infrastructure are also helping to pay for the infrastructure needed for their projects. Oswald Road was repaved, and that was great, but it's already starting to deteriorate again. Flooding is still an issue. Reservoirs that were created are still overflowing into the road. Granted, it's heavy rains, but we tend to have heavy rains about every 5 years. So just if we could continue to consider infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Doreen Fuller.
Thank you. I concur with what Mr. and Mrs. Ernest have presented. My only question is about, will there be any taking of private property to increase the turning lanes and the approaches to the intersection?
Actually, there's just very minor property that will be purchased for that, and it will just be probably just overhang easements for the utility lines. We have enough right-of-way on Oswald Road to keep the improvements within the current right-of-way. So it will just be PG&E, when you move a line, now requires a 15-foot sway easement so that the trees don't basically contact the wires. So we will probably have to, actually Caltrans will be purchasing that right-of-way, and it will be part of the project as well, but that's pretty minimal.
Thank you. All right, any questions from the board?
Through the chair. When we first started talking about the roundabout and the lights, we had a lot of the landowners here and the business owners, and I was against all of it because I didn't believe the taxpayers should have to pay for any of it, because not all of this is the county's issue. And I was very delighted when I heard from those landowners and business owners that they're willing to pay some of the cost of it. And They said, you know what, this is going to benefit us? Absolutely. So I'm curious on that aspect of it, of where we're at there, if we've figured out that financial portion of it. I'm assuming we've had meetings with the different owners of these corners or businesses there that are.
So yes, Chairman or Supervisor Ziegelbauer, to answer that question. So there's only one truck yard that was recently approved that's a condition that they pay a fair share of that. And yeah, that's calculation will take place once we finalize the county's costs for the project. Wouldn't want to do it prematurely, but otherwise, yeah. But at this time, there's only been one truck yard approved with that condition. Should there be any other projects of which there's none that Development Services is processing, no applications at this time, then it would have a similar condition and be subject to the same type of terms.
All right. When, it goes back to when we built our facility out on the highway, we paid for the turn lane. My company. No one else but my company. Because it was my issue, my burden. So, like I said, I'm all about the stoplight. I believe it's going to save a lot of lives. And it's needed, but like I said, just to have those in the fine print.
Supervisor Flores.
We've been going over this for several years now, so it's pretty exciting, and thank you guys for bringing this forth to actually make this happen. With that said, I'd like to move approval of the recommended action.
Second.
Well, we had a question.
I just had a quick question for David. On these acceleration and deceleration lanes, do you know the length or the distance of those on the turn lanes? Or is there a standard requirement from Caltrans on those? Okay.
Is your mic on, please?
Yes, there are standards. Caltrans actually determines those in their highway design manual, and it's determined based on the speed of the vehicles on the roadway and the types of vehicles as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
I have one question. So, David, I noticed on the map that you presented here, and when I was reading the packet also, it looks like there's turn lanes on the east side going into the highway, but on the west side there's not any? Or is that just a left out piece of information?
There won't be any striping on the asphalt that they can make any turns they want when the light turns green for them. So there'll be a stop light that comes on in the intersection that they can see, but when it turns green, they can make a right, go straight, or left as well.
But there's actually going to be a light that turns green for the right turn lane left lane on the east side, but not the west side, or do you know?
That's correct. It's not separated on the west side like that.
Okay.
It's just one lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I guess question.
There's not as much traffic.
What's the benefit of that? By looking for future, what would be the benefit of it not mirroring the other side of the highway?
At the time that's needed, that's an easy fix to add that if it's needed in the future. So it would be actually, I shouldn't say it's going to be an easy fix because there's residences on that side as well. So, but there isn't the number of vehicles that travel that direction.
All right, thank you. Yeah. All right, back to the board. You had a motion by Supervisor Ziegelmeier, second by Flores. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeier? Aye. Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
Chair.
Adoption of a resolution authorizing the purchase of right-of-way by the California Department of Transportation on behalf of Sutter County at the intersection of Eager Road and Live Oak Boulevard, and authorization for the Director of Development Services to execute all documents with the California Department of Transportation to facilitate the purchase of right-of-way at no cost to Sutter County.
All right, I have no...
Chair, quick question. Yes. How long the construction now? Like where we go? What's the steps from this point, and what's our projection from the time this would be done?
Back on item 11.
Yeah.
Just for the record.
Sorry, yeah.
For the 99.
I forgot to ask that. I voted yes, but.
So it's our understanding that they're going to advertise the project for construction in 24, 25, and start construction. So Caltrans will, from here, we essentially turn the project over to them. They then take it, finish the construction documents for bid. They'll bid it. They'll manage the construction contract. And as we get a hard schedule from them, we'll share it with your board. But that's our understanding. Our intent is they'll finish the documents and put it to bid.
Okay, so like 25, 26 completion.
Yeah, definitely. I believe they believe it's going to be done in 1 calendar year of construction, so 12 months of construction.
Okay, thank you.
We'll get that more information.
Thanks for the clarification. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, no, thank you. We're on to item number 12. Scott Riddle.
Scott Riddle is unfortunately out of the office on some personal business, so I'm going to present this matter. So this is in regards to Caltrans is seeking to purchase portions of the county's right-of-way so that they can make improvements for the turning radius at the intersections of Live Oak Boulevard and Eager Road. This is in regards to the project, the safety improvement project at essentially Live Oak Boulevard and State Route 99 at Lomo Crossing. So because they've gone and limited the turn lanes and the type of access, they're making improvements at Eager Road and Live Oak Boulevard for trucks. So the portions that are denoted in magenta, purple, are sections of the county's right-of-way that they want to purchase. They will purchase and make improvements to add asphalt. They're adding asphalt so that California legal trucks, not state trucks, it's a slightly shorter version than a state truck, but legal-sized trucks can make the turns onto Eager Road and from Eager Road onto Live Oak Boulevard. My staff spoke with Caltrans and asked about adding the required amount of asphalt so that state route trucks could make these turns, and Caltrans isn't required to do that as part of their project and their funding limitations, so they're only making the improvements for legal trucks. We may come back before your board if there was a desire to maybe have the county, through their contract, add asphalt for the state trucks, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, there's no speaker cards at this time. I'd like to see if the board has any questions.
I make a motion to approve.
Second motion.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores? Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Thank you.
All right, on to item number 13. Sarah Eberhardt Rios.
Authorization for Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health to provide a letter of support for a grant application being submitted by Adventist Health and Rideout to the California Department of Healthcare Services for Project Hope.
Thank you, Chairman and members of the board. Sarah Eberhardt Rios, your Health and Human Services Director, and I'm glad to have Ashton Phillips here from Adventist Health Rideout, as she's going to help me with a portion of this presentation. And so really the question we'd like to answer for you today is, why are we here presenting on this topic at this point in time? And the answer is very simple. It's because of Medi-Cal. So we'll go on to our next slide here. And so some very brief background. What is Medi-Cal? Medi-Cal is a health care insurance program that pays for a variety of medical costs for children and adults with limited income and resources. And so between 12 and 15 million Californians have Medi-Cal as their health insurance coverage. Here in Sutter County, we've got about 46,000 children and adults who have Medi-Cal here in Sutter County as their health insurance program, or excuse me, their health insurance coverage. So in California, and we're going to go to the next slide, Medi-Cal is administered by health plans. And here in Sutter County, the health plans that administer the Medi-Cal services and benefits are Anthem, California Health and Wellness, and pending approval by the Department of Healthcare Services after January 1st of 2024, potentially Partnership Health Plan. But as of current, we work with Anthem and California Health and Wellness. And so in addition to the services and benefits covered under Medi-Cal by Anthem and California Health and Wellness, Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health, as a mental health plan, provides a number of behavioral health benefits under Medi-Cal as well. Next slide. So what does Anthem and California Health and Wellness cover? And so listed on the slide before you see really things that we've considered to be physical health benefits, right? Primary care, laboratory, pharmacy, but you also see some behavioral health benefits listed there. So if you have Medi-Cal in Sutter County and you have a mild to moderate behavioral health need, then Anthem and California Health and Wellness cover those behavioral health services for you. We'll go to the next slide. And this brings us to the coverage responsibilities of Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health. And what you see here is a limited number of very specific behavioral health services that Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health is responsible for covering. In addition to those folks who might need substance use disorder treatment through drug Medi-Cal. So those are our responsibilities from a benefits perspective to provide coverage for. And so if you have Medi-Cal, there is a continuum of behavioral health services that are provided for you. So again, if you have a mild to moderate need, that's going to be California Health and Wellness and Anthem providing that coverage for you. If you have a chronic and severe condition and you need some more intensive behavioral health services, that's going to be Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health covering those services for you. I really like this next slide because the umbrella kind of represents what Medi-Cal should be doing for the person that has Medi-Cal coverage. And that's providing consistent coverage for healthcare needs. So even though California Health and Wellness and Anthem provide a portion of the insurance coverage, and Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health provides other benefits under that insurance coverage, the goal is to cover the beneficiary seamlessly and in a way that meets their healthcare needs and in a highly coordinated fashion. We'll go to the next slide. And so what is changing under Medi-Cal? So the Department of Healthcare Services is the statewide administrator for Medi-Cal, and they contract with California Health and Wellness and Anthem and Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health. And so the Department of Healthcare Services would like to transform the services provided under Medi-Cal, make them more effective, have services that help people have better health outcomes that can be measured and demonstrated. And so for physical, behavioral, developmental, dental, and long-term care needs coverage, the Department of Healthcare Services would like to add some new services. And so they're going to be doing this addition of services and transformation under something called Cal-AIM. And so on the slide before you, you're going to see 14 new services that the Department of Healthcare Services would like to add under Medi-Cal. These things have not been covered before, and so they are brand new services. They would be provided under the coverage that Anthem and California Health and Wellness cover. And so you'll see, I'm not going to go through all of these services, but you'll see here housing transition navigation services as an example, now covered and billable to Medi-Cal. Housing deposits within certain eligibility parameters, now covered and billable to Medi-Cal under these 14 new services. So you may be asking how these services could be offered here in our community, and I'm going to transition the presentation for this portion to Ashton.
Thank you, Sarah. Hello, everybody. Thanks for having me. My name is Ashton again, and I'm representing Adventist Health and Project Hope. So today we're going to talk to you a little bit about our proposal for what Project Hope is and what it will entail. Go to the next slide. Thank you so much. So we have come together as partners in care to collaborate on this project. Our partners include Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health, Sutter Yuba Health and Human Services, the Sutter Yuba Homeless Consortium, managed Medi-Cal plans such as Anthem and California Health and Wellness, as Sarah mentioned, our local law enforcement, the Salvation Army, and of course, local health care providers and others. The group of partners has really come together, and we have met over 50 times to collaborate over the last year to determine, of those 14 services that Sarah had shown, what services are needed here in our community and how can we stand these services up. So together, we present this proposal to you. A program of the magnitude that we will present really requires a facility of equal magnitude, which brings us to the ability to repurpose the Fremont Rideout Hospital there in Yuba City, here in Yuba City. Here, we will create a campus that will offer a suite of services to our most vulnerable populations. who have the most complex health and social needs. That includes seniors, that includes individuals with disabilities, and it also includes those who are experiencing homelessness. These services really set out to increase the overall quality of life and the well-being of those in our Sutter-Yuba region. These services will also assist our acute care hospital with wait times, patient satisfaction, and provide appropriate services and connect individuals to the care that they seek and the care that they need. These healthcare-related services that address social determinants of health will add services that currently do not exist in our community, but are so desperately needed. Thank you. We are proposing physical health services, such as medical recuperative care and short-term post-hospitalization, as well as working together to really define those behavioral health services that we will offer in this campus. And we're doing that in partnership with Health and Human Services as well as behavioral health. We have had several meetings over the last couple of weeks, and we will continue to have those meetings with our partners to propose those increased access to behavioral health services that are desperately needed in our community. We are committed to working together and committing to expanding those services that are needed here. For an example, each month Adventist Health sees over 200 individuals in our emergency room that are held on a 5150. That's not including other individuals that come in for other behavioral health services. We want to make sure that we meet the needs for the individuals in our community. You may have read some of these services and thought to yourself, all homeless services. But the campus really sets out to serve far more than just those individuals who are experiencing homelessness. As Sarah mentioned, in Sutter County alone, we have 46,000 individuals who have Medi-Cal as their health care insurance. That's seniors, that's individuals with disabilities, those with limited incomes. This campus will serve those folks as well and bring healthcare infrastructure to Sutter County that just doesn't exist today. We aim to serve the person who has been pulled over for a DUI or who has been arrested for being drunk in public. We want to create a facility that these individuals can be brought to in lieu of going to jail or in lieu of coming to the emergency department. We want them to come to a location that's going to have safe sobering, where in our facility, they will be able to have wraparound services. They will engage with an individual who's going to provide them support towards their goal, a peer navigator, a substance use navigator. This campus will also be for somebody such as your mom, your grandma, who is transitioning from the hospital and is not able to go home because they do not have that direct support in their home. They don't have a 24-hour caregiver. Maybe they don't have the time to hire somebody. They don't have the money to hire somebody. They need care. They need additional care, and they need additional supports in their home, and they're not able to access that. So they would be able to access that at this location. This is really all classes of individuals that need this care. All classes of individuals need recuperative care. All classes of individuals need behavioral health care, not just those experiencing homelessness. This campus will serve our community. People currently living here, people who need care and are trying to seek it, and people who are utilizing our emergency department and potentially our hospital without a place to transition to. To give you an idea of what we are seeing currently in our hospital, we have 5 individuals who are in the hospital who have been there over 100 days. One of those individuals has been there 165 days. We also have 4 more individuals that have been there 90 days, 95 days, 70 days. We have a total of over 35 individuals that have been there over 15 days. These are individuals that this campus could assist, that these individuals could transition to this campus and have that more appropriate level of care, freeing up those hospital beds and getting folks to the location that can meet their needs and address their social needs. Next slide. So for the purpose of this project, we do plan to utilize the Fremont Hospital Tower. So everybody, I'm sure, has drove by the hospital and seen the large tower. And then there's also plans to demo the middle portion due to asbestos, and to keep the far north building. If you're looking at it, the tower's on the left, far north building on the right, which we will utilize at a later time for office space or different additional programs that we could expand. We plan to revamp the outside of it. It needs a new roof, it needs new siding. We really want to create more of a private entrance as well. The middle area that is planned to be demoed, we plan to turn into a really large enclosed private recreation area where individuals that are in the program will be able to go outside and have their privacy, while keeping the curbside area clear for those that are leaving or those that are walking past the premises. It's important for us really to keep the campus secure, both for the privacy of the clients and for the outward appearance to the community. The location will have full-time security, 24 hours a day, as well as clinical staff. We also are planning to have transportation so that individuals are able to get to their next destination. In addition to the closed rec area, we plan to have each floor with common space, an area for individuals to congregate and do other quiet activities such as watching TV. Loitering within the general area will definitely be prohibited. We intend to be the best possible neighbor in this situation. Thank you so much. So really our goal is to create a space for our most vulnerable community members by providing services that are needed but that are missing in our community. We plan to lead with excellence and create a space you and the community can be proud of. Really a space that other jurisdictions are going to come to us and ask us, how did we do this? How did we collaborate to create something so special? A program that really is going to save lives and really help those who are suffering here in our community. And I'll hand it back over to Sarah.
Thank you, Ashton. And so briefly, we've got a couple more slides, and then we'll be happy to take your questions. Myself, Ashton, and of course, the president of the hospital, Chris Champlin, is here as well. So how is this being funded? So to support those new services that Ashton just described, the Department of Healthcare Services is standing up what would be considered startup funding in the form of healthcare infrastructure grants and managed care incentive payments for contracted healthcare providers with with Anthem and California Health and Wellness, such as Adventist Health. The startup funding is especially important in rural communities like ours that didn't participate in the whole person care pilots, which allowed counties to get and draw down healthcare infrastructure funding. So neither Yuba nor Sutter County participated in those healthcare infrastructure investment programs. Thank you. For the next slide. So what funding sources is Adventist Health Right Out reaching for to be able to do the renovation on the Fremont building? And there are 4 major sources. So source number 1 here on the slide is the PATH grant, and that grant has already been applied for by Adventist Health Right Out. Sources number 2 and 3 are incentive performance payments and health and homeless incentive program payments made by California Health and Wellness and Anthem to contracted providers such as Right Out. Source number 4 is a round 5 behavioral health crisis infrastructure program grant. I'm going to refer to this as BCHIP moving forward. Adventist Health Right Out is looking to reach for up to $23 million under this grant. And the reason they can reach for this money is because there's an integrated service approach with the new community support services being offered on the site, coupled with behavioral health, coupled with physical health care, resulting in an increased access to Medi-Cal services, which is a requirement of the BCHIP grant. So we'll go to the next slide. And this is where we come to the ask of our board to consider allowing Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health to submit a letter of support, which is required by the BCHIP grant. And the letter must indicate that grantees receiving this funding will provide behavioral health services or Medi-Cal services at the site, and it does cite that they would need a contract with the county to ensure those services are being provided. However, the grant guidance also says that that award of BCHIP funds does not obligate the county to a contract, And so we think in Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health that we can meet this requirement by co-location. And so what we're proposing to do is to take those Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health staff that are embedded 24/7, 365 in Right Out Adventist emergency room and lift and shift them from that emergency room into the Project Hope site to offer a behavioral health crisis service at that site. Now, because there are integrated services being offered at Project Hope site by Anthem and California Health and Wellness, we would want them to sign the letter with us as well, that letter of support should it be approved. If awarded, the B-CHIP grant does require the building be used for 30 years to provide Medi-Cal services, and that requirement would be to the grantee, Adventist Health Rideout. And if awarded, Adventist Health Rideout must be able to either start construction or have approved permits in hand within 6 months of receiving the funding and then expend that funding by 2027. So the last slide for your consideration is this may be a once in a career opportunity or lifetime to reach for this type of healthcare infrastructure funding to this magnitude. Sutter County does suffer from historic underinvestment in healthcare infrastructure. I will note that Adventist Health Rideout would need to receive all of the grant funds that they're seeking to do this project. If they were not able to receive this grant funding, the project would not proceed. It would not be able to come to fruition or be done. And lastly, it is anticipated that the California Department of Housing and Community Development may begin to make future awards for housing investments with some type of interconnectedness to CalAIM services. Well, they haven't said that in writing. It is something that we are looking for. And with that, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
All right, at this time I see no speaker cards. Is there anyone from the public that has any questions at this time? If not, I'm going to turn it over back to the board for questions.
I think it's an outstanding. I heard about this in the Wellness Committee, but I'm making a motion to approve it.
Hold on, wait. We're going to go through for some questions. Hold your horses.
Through the chair. So I just have a question. So in terms of time frames, the grant is due
Yes, February 13th.
February 13th, and then you'll hear approval by when? What?
This is, we don't know. I'm
thinking positively, approval only. So,
right.
yeah.
Perhaps within 60 to 90 days.
60, 90 days. Okay. And then once you would approve like that, what would be a time frame for a construction of a project like this? Pretty good magnitude, pretty big.
It is pretty big. It is pretty big magnitude. We do already have the architect, and we are working on the schematic designs. And then we also already do have the construction company that has done their walkthrough. So we're really gearing up to hit the ground running.
Okay, great. I'll second the motion, Mr. Chair.
Supervisor Conant.
I just wanted to ask Sarah a couple questions. So you said that the EU presently has the behavioral health people embedded in there. Are we going to have none there anymore?
I think we may have some staff there. We might have less staff there, or we might look to see if we can do telehealth or some other type of service at the emergency department. We would not want to remove that completely, but we want to work with Adventist Health Rideout for how they'd like to perhaps design that.
That's been a very good program to get people the help they need to help diagnose those issues as well.
Yes.
So I would want to be cautious about removing too much.
Yes, thank you.
Supervisor Shelley.
Oh, thank you. Just a quick question. I'm looking at the funding here and the managed care incentive payments. What qualifies for that?
Sure. So it would be potential capital improvement costs for the building. And so the qualification for that is simply primarily a contract with Anthem and California Health and Wellness. So Adventist Health has to commit to providing those services contractually. And I'm going to let Ashton let you know what contracts they do have.
Yes, so we do currently have contracts to provide enhanced care management and community supports with Anthem and also with California Health and Wellness. And in some of our other counties, Adventist Health Corporate does have contracts to provide these services: medical recuperative care, short-term post-hospitalization housing, the housing navigation, those 14 services that are really going to be that wraparound services. We do currently hold contracts with Partnership Health, which we will just amend when and if Partnership does come here in 2024.
You have another question?
So one last question. Do you guys have a budget of what you think this is going to cost, or do you not want to talk about that at this point?
We're working on that. We do have to submit a budget in order to submit the BCHIP grant. So we've been doing a lot of budgeting for both the construction, the design, and then you also have to think about the staffing. You also have to think about what's going to be needed, beds, computers, IT, that sort of thing. So all of that is currently coming together. And when that is together, I'm sure we'd be more than happy to share. But that is all coming together, and we're doing this based off of performas. So of course we have to make sure that the services that we are going to be able to offer will sustain the building and the services that we're offering there.
Yeah, I think this is an incredible program that could be really beneficial to the whole region. And I really support you guys doing this for the community. Thank you.
All right. I guess I'll make a comment after that. We have a motion and a second on the table. A roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye. Motion passes. I just wanted to say, take this opportunity to congratulate you all, one, for doing a tremendous job on the just what you guys have presented. Your presentation was great, but more importantly, I think looking at this is a true partnership within our community. We have Council Member Mark Baumgarten here. The city of Yuba City has also given a letter in support. We have our CEO, Chris Chaplin, with Adventist Health. We have a board member of the foundation, Jackie Silman. We have an opportunity here to, this is a real game changer, right? To provide some new opportunities in healthcare that I think people have dreamt of for many of years. That Fremont building has been closed, and I think everybody has had ideas, and this might have been one of mine. I served the Fremont Rideout Health Foundation board for over 10 years and was hoping for something like this to happen. And, it takes time, but again, want to wish you all the best of luck. From the county's side, when I would talk about true partnership with stepping up, and Sarah and your team from, Sutter Yuba Behavioral Health, being a partner in Health and Human Services, exciting things to come. And I just want to say I feel honored and looking forward to actually signing the letter. And good luck to you all. Thank you. All right, moving on to, would you like to make any comments? Sorry, Chris, or yes, please.
How about that? Yeah, actually, Chris Champlin, President and CEO, Adventist Health Rideout. I really appreciated your comments. Actually, I was listening to Sarah and Ashton present, and I know this thing, I live it every day. I was thinking, wow, this is really good. We got to do this. So fantastic presentation, and I do appreciate the partnership. I want to call out Sarah and her team particularly. They've been absolutely amazing to work with. You have a winner in that. And then all of you, Mark, your whole team for supporting us. Thank you very much. I agree. I think this is something we've got to do. One quick side story. So Ashton's numbers were a little bit old. We've got 50 people in the hospital today with stays of over 15 days. If you've been to our emergency department and you've had to wait, that's why. If we move this service over, we're going to create all kinds of capacity at the hospital. We just have to do it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, thank you once again, Council Member Baumgarten. Thank you for the support, and it's these types of collaborations that I've been looking forward to with the city and the county moving forward. So, all right, we're going to move on to item number 14.
Ratification of a proclamation to declare a countywide local emergency related to severe storms of winter 2022 to 23, and approval of an adjustment to the fiscal year 2022 to 23 adopted budget, increasing appropriations in the general fund, offset by a reduction in the appropriation for contingencies.
Hey, thank you, Honorable Chair and Supervisors. Steve Smith, County Administrator. So on Friday, as you're aware, under my duties as Director of Emergency Services, I declared a local emergency and signed that proclamation the board has 7 days to ratify that, which is recommended. At that time, the state hadn't yet received the federal emergency declaration, but has now for 17 counties, mostly in Northern California. So our initial declaration didn't request any resources from the state or feds. However, we have updated the attached resolution. Also, the request for a budget amendment of $100,000 to put into its own, to kind of separate the costs that we're experiencing, which helps us organize claims to the state and federal government as needed for this. So over the weekend, there's been a lot going on. And we've communicated that through social media, through a special link at the top of our website, and through the radio, Punjabi radio as well, and through the newspaper. So we've had a level 2 EOC in operation, which is minimal staffing, usually anywhere from 4 to 8 people. I think we had about 10 or 12 Sunday, most of the day Sunday, working on issues, collaborating with the sheriff's office, who are going into river bottoms areas and areas out in Lovey's Landing, which is the only area that's officially been evacuated, from HHS to development services and general services, and of course fire and emergency services. So our emergency operations manager, Zach Hamill, has some additional information that I'd like him to present. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair and Board of Supervisors. Steve stole most of my thunder already. But just to highlight a number of issues, currently there is an evacuation order at Lovey's Landing. There's been extensive localized flooding throughout the county. At the height of it, I believe we had 22 road closures. We currently have 19 road closures. There has been wind damage with numerous trees and power lines down. Power outages were widespread. As of 9 a.m. this morning, we have 268 customers still without power, some of them going on day 5 and 6 without power. In addition to that power outage, the Karnak dewatering power plant down in Robbins was out of power for 16 hours, and that did start causing issues with the water in the Robbins Basin. Luckily, we were able to coordinate with PG&E, make that a priority, and get the power back. Levee maintaining agencies have all been coordinating with us and have been responding and patrolling as necessary. And we've had numerous atmospheric rivers with over 7.5 inches of rain recorded in the county since the end of December. As you know, it's still rainy outside, so we still have the last little bit of our last atmospheric river that's blowing through. We should experience some heavy rain and thunderstorms this afternoon and evening. We'll experience some light rain through the weekend, and then we'll have one last weaker atmospheric river Friday through Sunday. The rivers are looking good. The Sacramento River at Calusa Bridge is at monitor stage and is forecasted to stay there through the weekend. The Feather and the Bear Rivers are well within the capacity of the river and are not forecasted to go into monitor stage. The Tisdale, Calusa, and Molten Weirs are all flowing as of today. And there are no, I'll repeat, no threats to our levee system at this time. One of the saving graces while we've had a number of these atmospheric rivers are our reservoirs. While it has been a challenge and we actually have a drought emergency currently, we were able, they have been able to take on some of this water rainfall that has increased their capacity. So Orville is currently at 47%, Shasta 42%, New Bullard's Bar is at 73%. So all of those have significantly increased since the beginning of the new year. As for coordination, Steve mentioned the EOC has been activated. We've hosted a number of the operational area coordination calls with first responder agencies, critical infrastructure, including PG&E and our levee maintaining agencies, the cities, county departments, educational partners, nonprofits in the state. The 2nd Street overnight camping has been extended to 24-hour-a-day operation temporarily due to the weather and the need to keep individuals off the levee system. An evacuation shelter was opened at the Vets Hall in partnership with the American Red Cross, and we've also opened up additional locations at the fairgrounds for those who are in trailers. We've received bottled water, sandbags, and other flood fight materials from our partners at the state and nonprofit agencies. And as Steve mentioned, we've been doing a number of public messaging, sharing weather information, river and road conditions, where to get sandbags, and a number of other storm-specific messaging. We've been utilizing the county, the OEM, fire, sheriff, social media, the Nextdoor app, working closely with the Appeal Democrat, local radio stations, including Punjabi Radio. And thanks to our public information officer here at the county, we have somewhat of a viral post right now that explains what the Sutter bypass is and how it's used. And that is getting a lot of good traction. So one good thing is coming out of this is we got some good education coming out. So our next steps, if you do ratify this local proclamation, is staff will coordinate with the California Governor's Office of Emergency Services and work to record all of our costs and try to recoup some of those as possible.
Through the chair, this whole try to recoup crap, this is what I'm talking about the state. This is what we deal with the state. The state comes in and says, we're going to do this emergency, just like with Pass Road and all these things. And all this damage happens, and we go to the state, we say, hey, this is what it costs us. And they come back and they say, this is what we're going to give you, this is what we're not going to give you. And it goes on and on and on. It just drives me nuts when I hear that word. This is the state. It's just unthinkable, because the damage to the county, the damage to the city, we're not even talking to the damage to the business owners or the residentials. I mean, I know people that have lost roofs off their sheds, off their shops. I probably have $150,000 worth of damage in my shop alone. I got to pay for it. State doesn't give me nothing for it. But what I'm getting at is, it's a joke. And I'd like to, we got to really push hard on getting 100% payback from this. It just drives me nuts when I see other counties. So we talk to other supervisors up and down the state. They say, man, they really took care of us on this, but they're bigger counties. Then you got little Sutter County. They say, you know what, we're not going to pay you for the Pass Road deal. I know that's on the agenda, so I won't talk about that, but it has to do with, but it's not fair that these costs are occurring. I mean, we got Neil Hay up from midnight till 7 in the morning driving down to Robbins, Steve Smith coming in sick, and Chair Baines and Supervisor Flores over there helping out what I'm getting at is everyone, department heads, everyone is doing their thing, because we can't let the community fail. My gosh, Saturday night was scary. That was pretty scary. And just the damage that was done, and these guys working out there, and they got their own things to take care of, but they're out doing what they do, taking care of the community and so forth. But like I said, let's really fight tooth and nail to get back 100%. Let's not take no for anything. 100%.
All right, so thank you. Sorry, we have a speaker card that somebody spoke out of line, but anyways, we're going to open it up to public comment. Liz Cervantes, please.
Liz Cervantes, District 5. I cannot help but notice the irony of this situation. We met last Tuesday. It was a wonderful board meeting, the swearing in, traditional, wonderful. Everything was great. Chief Shalowitz at the end of the meeting got up and talked about how they were reducing or restricting fire services at the Sutter Fire Station. On Friday, CAO Steve Smith declared an emergency. Are we going to open up Sutter Fire? Are we going to take care of them? this is a state of an emergency and we're restricting and reducing hours. This is unacceptable. And Mr. Ziegenmeyer, when you talk about we need to really aggressively go after the state, why are we paying the state? Let's declare ourselves a sovereign county. Something's got to give here. Reducing the fire station is unacceptable. And I hope that if it comes back for discussion, that's what was said a week ago, that it was going to come back for discussion. That is unacceptable to be cutting fire staff or hours or anything else. And the story's changing from even 7 days ago. That I'm trying hard to follow here. And I know if I'm having a hard time, there's other people that want an explanation for why we are reducing and limiting fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions for public comment? Seeing none, that we'll go back to the board for questions.
Through the chair.
Supervisor McKelly.
Thank you. Council, I'm not sure if we can talk about this or not, but it has to do with emergency about
we
funding for Pass Road.
Speak on funding for Pass Road.
Declaring an emergency. Does declaring a county emergency, like we had to report that within 24 hours to be able to get state funding for that, correct?
I believe it was within 10 days of an event.
Oh, it was, but we didn't have access to it, so we couldn't tell that it was actually damaged, right? Wasn't that the problem?
Right, and well, additionally, even if you declare an emergency, there's no guarantee that you're going to get funding. So the governor needs to activate the California Disaster Assistance Act, which wasn't done the prior year, I don't believe, but has been done for this series of storms.
But if we wanted to make a claim, you have to make a claim on a specific or incident, right? A blanket emergency doesn't qualify us for that. Is that correct?
So the current resolution would cover any damage that was caused by these storms, these series of storms.
Okay.
So the start date for that would be, I would sort of defer to Zach as to when that start date would.
So if Pass Road is damaged again, the state would be able to pay for it this time?
There is nuance, and they wouldn't, and again, Zach probably has better knowledge than I have, but as far as existing damage, they wouldn't, this resolution wouldn't cover existing damage or, wear and tear.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Any questions? All right. So before I look for a motion, I just would like to acknowledge the staff for working through this emergency. They'd like to recognize all county employees for really stepping up. I know certain people are going to say that that's their job and that's what they're supposed to do, but they continue to go above and beyond. And that from development services, engineering and road work, what's been done from our sheriff's department, going out and notifying the campers and the homeless folks out there that when the rivers are rising, that our fire department, health and human services, public health staff, and we were there, watched the shelter just be put together like that, and Sarah just taking charge. In every department, we have general services, getting the camping area set up and repaired. The city actually sent some staff to repair the camping platforms and stuff as well, but our Cal OES, seeing the staff, seeing every department come together in that room, it was surreal. This is setting up the emergency operations office or center, and witnessing that and just seeing you guys all come together, that it was no joke, and that our community should be proud of the community that they live in and the folks that commit to you on a day-to-day basis. So for all you out there, thank you. And so I'm looking for a motion.
I move to ratify the proclamation.
It sounded like there was a motion here.
I made a motion. Yep.
Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines? Aye. Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
Motion carries. We're going to move on to item 15. Steve, your reports.
Thank you.
Sorry, CAO Smith.
Sorry. Just a couple things. One, Donna Johnston. I wanted to give you a round of applause for all the work you did. Sorry, I didn't want to be that one person earlier that clapped and then everyone looked. I just want to give a quick comment on fire because it's related to the safety of the community. The county is not reducing fire staff or services. The staff have gotten to a point where many of them working 10 to 15 days in a row, and that's 24-hour shifts, that they have said, please don't mandatory overtime us. I'm not saying all the staff, but more than half. And they were to the point where they were so burned out that it was impacting their family lives, their home lives, and we're doing our best to cover. So at that time, Chief Shalowitz and the BCs, the battalion chiefs, were going to work additional just straight on shifts to cover so that our folks could get some rest and cover all of those shifts and had them all covered for the month. But we wanted to make sure that people knew the situation was dire. There's no cutting of anything, and we're happy to discuss these things or answer questions, but we just want people to understand what the reality is that you have not the firefighters themselves, but your chief and your BCs that are running day-to-day shifts instead of doing the administrative things that need to get done, like applying for grants and making sure trainings are getting done and all of that. They're working day-to-day shifts. So I just wanted to cover that as well. I wanted to thank Zach. He set up a call with the National Weather Service on Sunday. I think some of you witnessed that. So we got our own private call with the SAC office. That was great, Zach. Appreciate it. He's been working so hard, and so has everyone else. I don't want to mention because I'll miss someone, but almost all of the departments, and there's been a real collaboration. Things are running smoothly. We got a shelter set up with the Red Cross that Sarah arranged here at the Vets Hall. No one's used it yet, and I think that's a good sign because people haven't needed it, but we've got things up and going in case it's needed. It's better to be prepared, better safe than sorry. So just wanted to thank everyone for their ongoing hard work.
Okay. All right, we're going to go to item 16, correspondence.
Like to close in memory of Robert Bradshaw.
Oh, no, we got to. Is there any correspondence or?
That's for informational purposes only. I'm happy to read the title if you'd like.
Okay.
Public hearing notice for the Behavioral Health Advisory Board regarding the Mental Health Service Act fiscal year 2022 to 2023 annual update to be held on Thursday, January 12, 2023 at 5 p.m. at the Sutter County Library.
All right, thank you. Supervisor Ziegler.
Like to close in memory.
Excuse me, Chair. Before we do that section, I believe you do have a public comment card for item number 17.
Oh, sorry. I do. Liz Cervantes. No worries.
Okay, I know we all want to get out of here. If we could do a little bit better job on the listing of the vacancies of the boards and commissions, that would be very much appreciated. I think that we can all agree in this room that the Natomas Basin Conservancy is currently occupied by one Sutter County resident. There were 3, but 2 of them moved to Sacramento. That's great, they can move. But like I talked to one of the supervisors today, do you need to live in Sutter County to be a supervisor? Yes. Do you need to live in Sutter County to be on the grand jury? Yes. I don't care how they feel. They're in Sacramento. We need to fill those positions with Sutter County people. Did I already hit 3 minutes? Oh, sorry about that. That's the general gist of it, okay? Whatever you need, we have 99,063 souls in Sutter County. Can we please find 4 more members for this Natomas Basin Conservancy? I don't think that you realize how important this is. And if you don't, please refer back to the grand jury report, their recommendations. Thank you.
Through the chair, quickly, can we have staff email all 5 board members on the openings?
They're on your packet.
No, I see this, but I mean, I want to have it emailed or whatever so they can clip it, so then we can put it on our own social media accounts, and so you can see more. Thank you.
All right, district reports. Anybody have anything to report?
No, I just condolences.
That's fine. We'll take them.
All right, close in memory of Robert Bradshaw and Charles Alfred Dobbins and Michael Johnson, all 3 outstanding individuals. And I was actually going to talk about the committee openings and so forth. A lot of great committees. Get involved. So check it out. That's it for me.
Supervisor Flores.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I don't have anything to report from the district, but I do want to personally welcome Jamie Yang and welcome you back over to the good side of the river, and it's nice to have you here. So look forward to working with you, Jamie. So thanks for coming on board. I also want to just take a moment and echo the sentiments of Chairman Baines. This weekend was a really great experience. Got to go on Sunday to the EOC and just see the operations and all of the things. I mean, I could go on with all the people that he thanked, and I think just a tremendous job by all. Great job, Zach and team and everybody just being there. We had the honor of helping to set up the Red Cross shelter. So Chairman Baines but Ken Sraw was there, and so was Steve Smith, and we were actually trying to figure out how to open those damn cots, but we did figure that out, and we got them open, and there was an interesting challenge. But now we have that we can add to our resumes on how to open cots. So just let us know, But really, just in all seriousness, just a great job. My own feeling from being involved with multiple jurisdictions, not that anyone's doing a bad job at all, but the proactiveness feeling, or the feeling of being very proactive in Sutter County for this series of storms just made me feel very proud of what's going on in Sutter County. So I just want to echo the sentiments of Chairman Baines. Thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor McCulley.
Oh, I have nothing. Thank you.
Connor?
Yes, small list. So I just thought it would be important to bring everybody up to speed on what's going on in South County. The Bear River has been spilling on the lake since the 29th of last month, and it's still within the channel itself, although there was a forecast a couple days ago that the bear would reach danger stage. I think that's mistaken. We'll see how it does. The bear can jump up extremely fast, and it is pretty unpredictable. So it's one of the steepest rivers west of Mississippi, and therefore the water runs downhill pretty fast. Rioso Road underpass, Neil did a great job getting that thing back up to functioning. Only 3 failures. We had first started with a float failure, then followed by and because of the float failure, a couple cars went into the thing underwater, lost parts, got sucked up in the pump, clogged the impeller. Then later the starter failed. The Robin Sewer Treatment Plant went down, as Zach, thank you, Zach, for that report. And also the main pumping plant at Kastner failed due to lack of power. And that's several thousand horsepower that drains the lowest part in Sutter County, the Sutter Basin. And so thank God they got it back up with PG&E support. And many roads throughout my district are either impassable or have floodwaters on them. So we will just have to monitor that and make sure that people are safe out there. And thank you, everyone.
All right, thank you. Again, I think I started off by wanting to acknowledge all staff, right? That because this is a teamwork and we work in collaboration. So again, I want to thank you all for all that you do, and again, welcome Jamie Yang, welcome you to the team. A couple letters that I'd like to have sent out, letters of sympathy and condolences to the family of Emily Thomas, Bawant Garcha, and Mrs. Kular. And if I could have a motion.
I made a motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Supervisor McKelly?
Aye.
Supervisor Flores?
Aye.
Supervisor Ziegenmeyer?
Aye.
Supervisor Baines?
Aye.
Supervisor Conant?
Aye.
This meeting is adjourned.
Excuse me, Chair, we have a closed session.
Oh, sorry. Let me take that back.
Evaluation of public employee position pursuant to Government Code Section 5495.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe, with lessons, in person and personalized. Instruments including guitars and amps, horns, strings for instruments, and a myriad of music and sound equipment. Skip's Marysville Music Cafe.